Imagine if you knew that you could go and find a Banksy and own a bit of it, would you?
Right. Absolutely.
I think most people would. I'm Daryl Kelly. I'm the founder of StreetMint. Our technology allows artists to mint street art on-chain on Solana and collectors to collect street art like they never have before.
Walk me through the structure a little bit.
So if you're an artist, you can come on the site, you can start your own account, connect your wallet, create your profile, upload your street art as a digital collectible. You create your own contract, so you own everything yourself.
How do you envision the way people might interact with street arts in the future?
So you're in the streets and you happen to stumble across a work of art that you really love, and traditionally you take a photo in front of that. The technology we've built allows you to actually now collect that moment in real life. So it's as much about supporting artists, being an art collector, but also doing what you'd normally do anyway, which is capture the moment with a photograph, but now you can actually do that also, but tap that mint station and walk away with an actual collectible of the artwork and a memento of that moment. So we are global from day one. It's just, let's work with the global artists and get these mint stations into the public domain, into museums, on landmarks, and decentralize the world's streets into the largest gallery in the world.
Right, so very excited about all of this. Daryl, tell me about yourself and StreetMint. What exactly is it? How is it all structured? And maybe a little bit about your background as well.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, well, I'll start with the background and how I ended up here. Found about Bitcoin in 2016, started investing then, realized the power of digital scarcity, and then I sort of spent the next few years researching blockchain and finding my way into the market. 2020, I launched my first blockchain-related company called the Bitcoin Movement, and it was under that company we launched one of the world's first streetwear collections. And then I've kind of always been passionate about that digital technology, the bridge between the real world and the blockchain. And my last project was with Samsung and kind of gamifying a scavenger hunt with them in Lisbon. And I noticed that the kind of desire and the engagement that these activations were kind of having over people, and we noticed, and there was a bit of a gap in the market where artists could be monetizing the art in the public domain. At the moment, that is completely undone. No one's ever done that before. So we decided to kind of program our tech to enable artists to mint their street art murals. And this goes for landmarks, public domain art, anything in the public domain essentially, and give them the power to put that on chain, and then kind of on the flip side create a new genre of art, which is that street art, which previously is not able to be collected.
So what I'd love to know is, how exactly does StreetMint address some of these problems for artists, and essentially how it works for them? For the wall owners, for the artists themselves?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, up till now, there hasn't really been a meaningful way to collect street art. The idea of how do you collect something that exists in the public domain hasn't really existed. So we built technology that, through like cryptographic NFC hardware, allows us to digitize street art, put the mint station on the wall essentially, which is like a channel between the collector and the artist, and that points them directly to the collectible that they can then purchase. And what that does is it means that now people can really collect a piece of street art that has provenance, authenticity built in. The artist is built into the wallet, so they get an immediate sale and revenue. And the idea is that we work with wall owners, councils, governments, tourism boards, and cut them in on the revenue model. So they now have an incentive, like a real financial incentive, to allow their walls to be beautified and painted with murals, because they get a cut on every single transaction. So it's kind of like really turning the model on its head and empowering the artist, empowering the council, and empowering landlords, and everyone wins.
I got you. So, we've seen people in the past, let's use Banksy as an example. When he paints something, quite often people will just sort of take that piece of wall.
Exactly.
And steal it for us. Now, they don't necessarily have to do that. They can own a piece of it.
Totally. And legitimately you know, they can own a bit of Banksy's work without having to take it off the wall and, you know, cause all those issues. So, but that's a really good example, like Banksy. Imagine if you knew that you could go and find a Banksy and own a bit of it, would you?
Right. Absolutely.
I think most people would. And the idea is also we can gamify that experience by creating scavenger hunts around cities to really like enhance the whole experience as well. So because it's a new genre really for collecting, we figured we can really like play with that and really make it quite a fun experience.
What sort of traction has StreetMint gained so far?
Yeah, well, we're still in the MVP stage, but we've had some really good feedback. We've actually launched a live activation in Singapore with Breakpoint, with Bonk Advisory booth. So that was a hand-painted booth, and we created a digital collectible around it, and then people could come up and tap the mint station and collect that as a memento, as a collectible and experience. We've gone on, we're doing Island DAO in Villa Solana in Koh Samui, like right now. So we've got a piece there by Crypto Bags. And then behind us, like we've got this amazing artist, Nathan Bowen, who is a street artist, London-based, and he's actually doing a live activation with us at Zebu Live for the London Web3 Week. So like, I would say it's really positive, and I think a lot of people are really interested in its potential because it has this, you know, it has that blockchain layer that, you know, a lot of people can maybe misunderstand, but this is a really easy, tangible way for people to kind of connect with the blockchain and then understand its use case. So artists are fully on board and support it and excited to get the tech.
I'd love to know a little bit more about that because, you know, traditionally, or at least, you know, people have been a little bit skittish when it comes to new technology, especially artists. Some have embraced it, some not so much. This seems to combine real-world art and the digital space into this one beautiful area. What do you think some of the feedback has been from the artists so far? Like, what's the overall consensus?
Overall consensus is, I think, how do we scale it? You know, they're really interested in how they can get this on all their artworks. Sure. The technology is really simple, so, you know, it's just, I mean, the background under the hood is not simple, it's quite technical, but for them to use it and apply it is really simple. And I think they're very excited about unlocking the value that exists in their artworks. So, you know, they literally, if they have existing artworks, they can just put one of the mint stations on it and you know, start generating an income from that. Plus we have the royalty mechanism, so they can continuously earn money from that work. So really, really positive and excited. You know, again, it kind of like turns the world's cities into a global gallery. And I think that's kind of hasn't really been possible before because it comes back to that old problem of digital images not holding value if they're not on, you know, if they're not an asset, and this turns street art into assets.
So you mentioned that one of the questions artists often have is how this is all going to scale. What are those plans? How do you see StreetMint becoming this massive thing and basically overtaking street art in the digital world?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a technical one and also sort of a behavioural one as well. You know, consumer behavioural. If you look at the history of sort of the, you know, blockchain and how it started, Bitcoin was that store of value. Ethereum kind of launched the smart contract world and programmable crypto. And then we were given Solana, which allowed the whole world to scale on chain. And I think the fact that we're bridging this through Solana gives us that capacity to scale really easily. The hardware is the same whether you're using any blockchain. So it's, you know, what's the best chain to apply our hardware to? And that the answer to that question was Solana. So we're really grateful for the kind of, you know, CNFTs, compressed NFT protocol. I think that's allowed us to do what we need to do. And how do artists get involved on a global scale? Well, come onto the site, you know, work with us and list your street art, and then what we do is we authenticate that and we send you a chip to apply that to the wall. So we are global from day one. It's just, you know, let's work with the global artists and get these mint stations into the public domain, into museums, on landmarks, and, you know, decentralize the world's streets into the largest gallery in the world.
you've created this in, I think, it was like an hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
Now it will be digitized.
Yeah.
And people will actually be able to purchase it. What do you think about this whole process? Is this something you've experimented with before? Or it's the first time you're trying to
Never, man. Never really painted. But doing the whole digital thing, it's great, man. It's the future. Me, I'm a very traditional artist, and to be honest, I can be quite stubborn. So that's why I thought I'd try the digital thing to learn, to get with the time as well. So yeah, I think that it'd be great that people could visualize it and people could take it home, digitally as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They can own a piece of this
forever, innit?
Forever, exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you get a bit of a kickback from it
Yeah.
as well. They have a little bit of a history. Now, you'll be creating something similar to this at Zebu Live in a couple of weeks or so.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see that. Is that also going to be spray painted, or what's the process going to be?
So since it's going to be indoors, inside a proper nice venue in Fireworks Village, be using a lot of pens and paintbrushes, because using the sprays in that building would be too toxic.
Sure.
So I originally started using pens anyway. So now over the years practicing with spray paint, if you could spray paint, you could use it in pen. If you could do in pen, you could spray paint. So you'll be using a lot of pen work at the Zebu event, and I love pens. Pens are nice. It's way smoother.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
It's going to be like a lot more detailed than this. I mean, this is
it's
amazing as it is. But
it's going to be a lot more detailed. I'm going to spend a lot more time. So we're going to be there for the 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to basically drag the piece out over 2 days. So it's going to be quite epic. If I could do this in an hour and a half, imagine what I could do in 10 hours, man. You know what I mean?
No, I'm really looking forward to it. We always end up at these, various events, or you're just walking around and you see beautiful pieces. You just sort of stand and take a picture with it, maybe. Now I might actually be able to, like we said earlier, own a piece of it.
Own a piece of it, yeah.
That's
cool,
to me.
man.
That's pretty fucking amazing. Now, is this something that you'll be trying out a little bit more in the future? Do you think it'll be a consistent part of your workflow?
Yeah, definitely. Especially, it's sort of educating me, what's new out there, and being able to mint a bit of artwork in the street. I think that's great. I think I want to focus more on that as well. It's all about having your eggs in different baskets. So this is one of them.
Beautiful.
Cheers.
There we go. Nice one. Thank you very much. You like it as well? Yeah. Good girl. What's her name? Clay.
Yeah, Klae.
Hey. How do you envision the way people might interact with street arts in the future?
Yeah, I mean, we have two interfaces, I suppose you'd say. We have the public domain, so you're in the streets and you happen to stumble across a work of art that you really love, and traditionally you take a photo in front of that, and that's all you could do. Well, the technology we've built allows you to actually now collect that moment in real life. So it's as much about supporting the artist, being an art collector, but also doing what you'd normally do anyway, which is capture the moment with a photograph, but now you can actually do that also, but tap that mint station and walk away with an actual collectible of the artwork and a memento of that moment. So that's kind of version one. You're in the streets and you're in a restaurant, you're having a meal, and there's a mural on the wall by your favorite artist. The restaurant's done a collaboration, and you're on a date with your girlfriend or your wife, and you're like, I want to take that art home with me as a memento of that. Same thing, it's like the environment, the vibe, and the moment. Mm-hmm. And then secondly is you're online and you're in a city and you're looking for something to go to. So you're in London and you're looking at what murals and activations are happening in that city at the time. And you might see that the Banksy is launching a mural in London, but you don't know exactly where, and we put a little hint there to kind of say there's a countdown, it goes live in 3 hours, and you need to be in this district. So it's kind of like gamifying that experience as well, because maybe it's a limited edition, and it's kind of a first come first serve basis. So we're kind of like adding a fun layer to it as well, trying to really take that collecting idea to the next level.
So you actually bring up a good point then. It makes me curious. I imagine it will be different with each artist, but do you think these collectibles are going to be available at all times? Are we looking at more limited time pieces or limited editions? How do you envision that?
Yeah, really good question, and the answer's various ways, because while it can be applied to street art, it can also be applied to landmarks and tourism, or the Eiffel Tower, for example, or a city street art tour, which can be open all the time. So we'll be doing open editions. We'll be doing free claims, because the other thing is it's all gasless mints. You don't need to have crypto in your wallet. So we're like super normie Web2 friendly for that fact. So at other times we'll want to drive the FOMO mechanics and bring in some speculation and work with artists that kind of have real secondary market floor, but want to use us as a distribution channel in the public domain. And for those we'll be doing limited edition pieces and maybe 3 or multiple editions at the same time. So you've got one going on here, and you've got to get across the city and mint the second one and get the third one, and it's kind of like a bit of a chase, a bit of a game. That comes back to my crypto bag days, where we were hiding crypto bags in the streets and living riddles on our Twitter account, and it was the first person who found it won it, and they got crypto and Bitcoin and NFTs all packed into that experience.
So you saw a little bit of a spark with crypto bags,
Yeah.
and it is now turning into this wonderful thing that is being created right in front of us.
Exactly, yeah. And it's there's a technical background there as well, which our team have, which is really important, because it's as much a technical development as it is a cultural one. So having the hardware and the tech sound is really important. You can't, with our technology, you can only touch it once and mint one collectible per person.
Right.
It's all about bringing, the blockchain's main use case is verification, but that has been all digital up until now, and what we're doing is we're bringing that in real life. So it's verification in the real world, that you were at this moment when you tapped and you collected that moment. It could be street art, it could be the Eiffel Tower landmark, it could be at an event to prove you were there and you're entered into a prize draw. That's the tech, and then how we apply that in this instance is street art.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I mean, especially at events, for me personally, it's always a fun thing, and it's that proof of, hey, I was there. I have my my NFTs from like the previous breakpoints that I attended. I remember they did one in Amsterdam, and I hold that very dearly.
Yeah. Your wallet is almost your new social media. It will become what people peer into and see how you move, how you sort of collect digitally, but where you were, and what your interests are.
Yes.
That's how I kind of see it. It's kind of the new social media wallets and what's inside.
It's very interesting. Okay, beautiful. So Nathan's finished his piece now. Let's see the tech in action. Can we put it up and see how it all works?
Yeah, we can indeed. Put this here. This is the NFC tech. Literally, that goes right there. I'm going to tap it. Any smartphone. And then it's, as you can see, it's a free mint. Here's the NFT here, which is representative of the street art itself. Description, location, and a gallery of where it is. Nathan Bowen, it's gasless minting. So it's completely free for everybody to use. No wallet connect. Insert my wallet and mint now. Success. View my collectible. So this goes to Solana FM for now, but we'll have our own in-house collection page. But this is obviously what everyone cares about, on-chain.
Sure.
It exists. Here's all the transaction details.
Gorgeous.
And now you can see I can't mint it again, and this is part of it as well. I don't know if you want to capture this, but I can't mint a second one because the limit is one per wallet, one per person. So if I try and do it, it'll tell me that my device has already collected this piece. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And that's really the core of it. And the other thing to note as well, although it's tricky to show, the URL is different to the first time I tapped it.
I see.
I don't know how you can depict that because it's such a long URL. But
Is that why does that matter? Why is it important that we show
so
that?
what that matters is that if we're doing an exclusive mint, well, if you're at an event and you can only secure a collectible at the event because you're in attendance, if you tap a chip that's a normal chip, you can generate this. It will only generate one link, which means you can send that to your friend in Europe.
I see.
And they can mint it and pretend they were there. But you can't game this system because you can tap it, and if you go and try and share that link, it won't exist. And if
makes
you
sense.
try and tap it again and mint a second one to send it to your friend, you can't mint a second one.
That makes sense, yeah, because quite often what you see is people just send out their screenshots or the QR code or whatever else it may be.
Yeah, even dynamic NFTs and geo-fencing doesn't really, it's not in any way as secure as this. So this is like really, really high level. If you're trying to, really provide a highly gamified experience with, like, let's say, high stake prizes. One of the games we did in New York City with Wrecked Drink was an $80,000 piece of art.
Right.
People will try to game that
Of course.
and sort of cheat naturally. But this is like really, really quite difficult. You can't hack it digitally and you can't hack it physically too.
Very cool.
So,
Very cool.
I'm Daryl Kelly. I'm the founder of StreetMint, and our technology allows artists to mint street art on chain on Solana and collectors to collect street art like they never have before.